Hello, welcome to the Draft Talk podcast. We're back talking all things NFL draft. Commiserations to the Seattle Seahawks. They won't be picking all the way till pick 32. Bit of a joke there, of course, winning the Super Bowl. Congrats. To celebrate that, now we know the final draft order. Everything is all sorted for us. Now, we're going to do a mock to celebrate that and to have a bit of fun. We like it. When I say we, that's myself, Brian, your host, and as always, it's Owen and Stu joining me. How are you guys?
Yeah, now we've got the draft order set until teams decide to trade. Um, so it should be fun. It's about time we do a mock draft. We haven't done one yet, so these are always a lot of fun, and it's good to just play out what might happen on draft night.
Yeah, we've waited a bit longer, haven't we, than usual to try and get the final draft order and to try and make sense of some of this class as well. So we'll see how well we get on.
Indeed. Stu has he's run the randomizer wheel for us, and the order is set. Oh, I knew we were going first. Then Stu, then me. 1, 2, 3, etc. I guess we better get going. So kick us off. The draft is open. It's Las Vegas Raiders. Owen, who are you going for?
Yeah, so the choice here is, do I milk the clock and take all 15 minutes to make the pick when we all know exactly where it's going? I'm picking Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback from Indiana. Surprise there. He might not be the greatest of athletes what we've seen at the quarterback position, but I think he's got the right makeup to be the potential franchise quarterback for the Raiders. I think he's a player that Tom Brady will really like. We'll see. We know that he's going to be involved in the process. So I think he's got the brain, he's got the intelligence. I think that the Raiders will really, really like him. He's muted himself again. How many minutes?
Every time.
2 minutes in?
Oh, 2 minutes in, that's almost a new record, is it?
Yeah, oh, probably.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, we have an honorary fourth Draft Talk member who joins us on draft night, who's Jordan. He's our beer and travel coordinator, and he's a massive Raiders fan. And I think if we don't pick Fernando Mendoza, he's not going to talk to us all the way until draft week. So yeah, I think that's a very, very sensible pick.
Yep, don't mess it up, Raiders, in a way that only you can. But yeah, good choice. Mendoza to Raiders at 1. Stu, it's yourself with the Jets at 2.
Yeah, the Jets would love to have been picking number one in this class because their options are really limited, aren't they? At quarterback, and they are just not going to do that at 2. Um, Jets have quite a lot of needs. They've traded away quite a lot of players recently, so they do have a lot of picks over the next couple of drafts. A big need for me, I think, is on the edge, and I think that's always a high pick as an edge. And I'm going to go with my rankings. I'm going to pick David Bailey, the edge from Texas Tech, at number 2 for the Jets.
I think that would be a surprise at this point, as all the interest seems to be around Arvell Reese in that position, but very, very good pass rusher is David Bailey, so it maybe wouldn't be so much of a shock.
Nice. A bit of a spanner in my works there.
Yeah.
So it's myself with the Cardinals at 3. Oh, no problem. We like we like something a bit different. And I was gonna go offensive line. It was a toss up thing to go for, but I'm gonna go Arvell Reese because he's there. He's staring me in the face. Not the biggest need, but I think one of the sort of blue chip players and something the Cardinals can get excited about. So yeah, Arvell Reese from Ohio State. The Cardinals at 3.
Oh, I would agree. I would have gone offensive line, but if he's staring you there in the face, it's difficult to pass up unless someone maybe wants to trade up, or you can trade back a bit because they do have some problems on the offensive line. They've got some free agents coming up as well, so it seems a logical way to go. But if Arvell Reese is there, it'd be very, very difficult to pass him up.
Indeed. So round we go. Owen at 4 with the Titans.
Yeah, Titans. It's quite difficult with the Titans because they really could do with a receiver to pair with Cam Ward because he's going to need someone to throw to. But I still think that their biggest issues are coming on the edge. They don't have a guy who's able to rush the passer consistently off the edge, who's young and that they can invest in. So I'm going to go for Ruben Bain here. I would have loved for one of Bailey or Reese to have fallen here because I do wonder if the arm length concerns will bother Robert Saleh and the Titans. But I think he is worthy of a top 5 pick. So I'm going to go Ruben Bain from Miami.
Yeah, I think the Titans don't have anyone that you offensive team are game planning against. Ruben Bain maybe gives them that somebody that the teams have to think about a little bit more moving forward. Absolutely, yeah. I think he's worthy of that pick in this draft.
Okay, number 5, it's you, Stu, with the Giants.
Yeah, for me, the Giants showed some promise with Jackson Dart. So I think you kind of have to help him in any way that you can. I think they've got, those kind of marquee positions at edge. I think they're well stocked at that position. And we've had a couple of the top guys go off the board anyway. Um, I think that I'm going to go and take Carnell Tate, the wide receiver from Ohio State. I think he offers something different from Malik Neighbors, and he gives the Jets another pass catching option as they try and build around Jackson Dart.
Yeah, the quandary here is, was it going to be offensive line or was it going to be receiver? And I don't think there was a wrong answer really. And I think you're right in pairing Carnell Tate with Malik Neighbors because I think they complement each other really well.
Okay, myself at 6 with the Browns. So I'm thinking either go receiver, there could be all the receivers are left, or I think I'm going to go tackle actually. Don't know who's going to play quarterback. They might draft another 12 like they did last year, but they'll figure something out. Who knows? But yeah, I'm going to go Spencer Fano from Utah. Tackle.
Yeah, I think it would almost be a dream scenario for Cleveland to have their choice of offensive lineman at that point. And remember, they've got a pick later on, so they can always circle back at receiver later on if need be. Or, to be fair, their offensive line needs are that big that they could double dip our offensive line in the first round if there's a player available because they are in dire need of offensive linemen.
Yeah, I think offensive line has to be the way to go for Cleveland. They've gone from having a really good offensive line not that long ago to having a terrible offensive line, so they really need to start rebuilding that pretty quickly.
Okay, I'm at 7 with the Commanders.
Yeah, a little bit torn here simply because of positional value of the players I'm thinking of. So I'm torn between Sonny Styles, the linebacker, and Caleb Downs, the safety. The Commanders, they allowed the most passing yards in the NFL in 2025. So it does make sense to go for Caleb Downs, but I do think that Dan Quinn would really like Sonny Styles. I'm gonna go Caleb Downs. For me, he's the best player in the draft, so I think he would be a really good pick at number 7. Obviously, positional value doesn't always dictate it, but in this draft, I think it's all about taking good players.
Yeah, you've seen more and more of the sort of high-end hybrid safeties start to get a bit more recognised the last couple of years. So
yeah, and nickel's
they
becoming more and more important, and
Mm-hmm.
he can play the slot and he can play the nickel for you. So that's becoming more important to say. But in this draft more than any, because of the lack of premium talent, you're better off just taking the best player available, and you could say that throughout the draft.
Yeah, I think Washington have to do something in that secondary, don't they? He is versatile, and he's the best secondary player that is on the board at the moment. So yeah, I could see that being a good pick for Washington.
Back to you, Stu, 8 with the Saints.
I think I could almost copy and paste what I said for the Giants, with helping out a young quarterback who showed some promise, particularly towards the end of the season, and that is obviously Tyler Shook. They are not as needy as a tackle, however. I don't think they've got good young offensive linemen. So for me, wide receiver is probably a good shout for them going forward. And I'm going to go for Mekhi Lemon, the wide receiver from USC. I think he is a really good route runner and he's got really good electric play speed. They've also got Chris Olave as well. So I think that hits a nice 1-2 punch for the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, the tackles are sorted. This really depends on how early you think the Oliver Vega-Ioane can go, because I do think they have some problems at guard that he could fill. So it depends on whether this feels too early for a guard. But yeah, we've spoke about it on multiple episodes now about the wide receivers. There's a way that there's no wide receivers going in the top 10. There's also a scenario where you have 3 going. So it's really hard to tell how these wide receivers will fall.
Okie dokie. Myself at number 9 with the Chiefs picking very early for them. They won't like that.
Don't be boring. Don't be boring.
Yeah, this is not necessarily predictive at this stage.
Yeah. It's
They could do with a receiver. Just saying.
Yep. They could do a receiver. There's good receivers. There's
a
good
receiver who can play and a receiver who isn't small. It helps.
You're trying to dictate this direction, Owen.
No. I mean, Jeremiah Love just makes sense, doesn't it? Because everyone's got him there. So you kind of give him something different. But you do what you want to, Brian.
Yeah. I don't really. I don't want to. I'm going Jeremiah Love. I kind of don't know if the Chiefs would, just because, Andy Reid can he get more out of a cheaper running back, so to speak. But he's one of them special ones. So
yeah, it's one of those positions that you can pick up in free agency. You can plug the gap. It's not like when you tackles never come up in free agency. So if you want one, you've got to pick one early. You can always get a serviceable running back. But in terms of Super Bowl window, they're just trying to maximise every time. I do wonder whether a receiver would be in play. And I think if one of the big edge rushers were available, that would potentially be in play as well. But I think it would be too early for one of the other ones in the top 10 at this point.
Okay, that's Chiefs at 9. So Bengals at 10. Yourself, Owen?
Defense. I'm not going to do it. Personally, I'd be very, very interested in Ioane at this point in playing at guard. But we're not going to do that. We're going to go defense. With Downs off the board, I think you're then looking at either corner or defensive tackle, and I don't think you can go wrong at either spot. So in terms of, they rank 31st in passing yards allowed, and they rank dead last in rushing yards allowed. So they just need good players on defense. You're then debating between Mansour Delane and Peter Woods. I am leaning towards Peter Woods. I'm gonna go Peter Woods, the defensive tackle from Clemson. I know Stu doesn't agree with him going this highly, but I think they just need someone who's going to be able to stop the run, and I think he offers you more pass rush upside than the other defensive tackles in this class.
Yeah, they need to do something on defense, and I think that's fairly obvious. Yeah. And if they have Peter Woods as the top guy, that is a need for them. So yeah, it makes sense.
Sticking with you, Stu, your very own Miami Dolphins picking at 11.
I promise I didn't fix this order, because it's me, Evan, and then it would have been Brian with the Cowboys, and it would have been Owen if his team didn't trade the first round pick away. But
we'll get there.
Less said about that, the better at the moment as well, with what's going on. So we'll not go there. But if I am absolutely delighted that Owen picked Peter Woods, because if I was the Miami Dolphins, I would run, skip, hop, and jump up to the podium and hand in the car from Mansour Delane. They have a room full of cornerbacks who at best are a cornerback 3. They really, really need help at cornerback. I think because of the injury history, Jamod McCoy, was just a little bit hesitant there, but Mansour Delane, he's gone to LSU and had an excellent year, and he could be a lockdown corner for Miami, and it's something that they desperately need.
Yeah, it was just a matter of take your pick with this one. We'll probably speak about Jamod McCoy when he finally goes, but it's just a matter of Mansour Delane has played, you know what you're getting, so it just makes sense for him to go first. We'll see if the combine changes things.
So, okay, myself with the Cowboys at 12. Probably going to go defense. It's definitely what they need. The thinking here is the corner or the aforementioned Sonny Styles.
Yeah.
I sort of feel. I mean, we've not done our top 5, so I'll find out in the next few weeks. But I don't know. Do you need top corner? They certainly need. Yeah, I'm going the linebacker Sonny Styles.
Yeah.
They've had linebacker play for a couple of years, and it's just not good. And I think with what they've done in the past as well, I think the Cowboys are confident if they have to pick a sort of third, fourth round corner, they might do okay there. So Sonny Styles it is.
Yeah.
Another boring one. I'll try not to be as boring with my next few, but
I mean, there's a chance he doesn't.
lots of lot.
He shouldn't get past here. He could go much earlier than this.
Mm.
He's probably he is a top 5 talent in this class. It's just the positional value of much of how far does he maybe slip down the board. In a really good linebacker class as well. So a team should be confident they can pick up a linebacker later on. But you could say the same about corner, that these positions are deep. So it's just a matter of you might as well take the premium talent at this point.
Okay. Oh, and yourself with the Rams pick, not the Falcons.
Not the Falcons, who gave away their first round pick for a 1-year rental, but we again, like I was saying there with the Cowboys, is you're looking at positions that are deep on day 2. So cornerback, I think you can get starting cornerback talent on day 2. I think you can get starting linebacker talent on day 2. The same at safety, same at wide receiver. I'm going to go Jamod McCoy, the cornerback from Tennessee. Yes, he hasn't played in 2025. And considering he is healthy and we're expecting him to be at the combine and do drills at the combine, I am slightly perplexed of why he didn't play at any point in 2025. I'd love to know and see an interview of why when he's asked that. But the 2024 tape is excellent, and if he looks anything like that at the combine, then I think you're looking at a top half of the first round talent.
Yeah, I think it makes sense for LA as well. They've kind of patched together cornerback over the recent years. They've had they traded for Roger McCreary, and they had who else was the other one who was a failed kind of Emmanuel Forbes was the other guy that they brought in, and they've kind of made it work. So, but maybe getting someone who's a bit more talented at the position, it gives them, because they've got a good young front now, start building out the secondary, I think, in that way as well.
Yeah, they have conceded points. Last year, they're going into 2026 season as one of the favourites to win the Super Bowl. Teams did put points up against them. You look at what
a lot of shootouts.
Yeah, a lot of shootouts that they need to be able to stop the pass, and so I think corner is probably the right way to go here.
Lovely stuff. Stu, yourself at 14 with the Ravens.
Yeah, the Ravens. I would have liked to pass rusher, but the top guys have all disappeared, and I'm not really sold on Keldrick Falk just yet. Is it at that level? So
too early for Hull.
I think so.
Yeah,
I don't know, but they do have needs on the offensive interior line, and I think Oliver Vega Ioane now. Yeah, 14 seems right. The Ravens do just like to pick good players. I mean, they saw a couple of years ago where they picked a safety and a center in the first round. So positional value isn't always on their radar. And I think they're the kind of team that would feel very comfortable pulling a top guard off the board at this range. So yeah, Ioane from Penn State is a Raven.
Yeah, just makes so much sense. Again, I think he could go earlier than this if a team really, really likes him. And I think we think that he is probably the top offensive lineman in this class. He is just that good. I don't like using the term plug and play because it rarely happens like that in the NFL, but he's as close to that as you're going to get.
Indeed, who's both your number one top card in our top 5. Back to myself at 15 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Another team that probably needs a bit of defensive help. Yeah, Falk, would they be involved with Falk at this stage? Let's see what else is.
I don't think he'd be their type. I think they want juice.
Yeah, they tend to like those longer, bendier edge rushers and then have that more stout interior.
Yeah. I'll open up the room, guys. What do you think?
Pass rush.
Difficult spot.
Yeah, it is a difficult. I mean, pass rush makes
Yeah,
so much sense.
we've talked
There's
about
players there. It's just the value is the
we've talked about Cassius Howell. I think would be their type, that really speedy player off the edge.
Totally
Yeah, because Messidor's that bigger kind of type of guy. TJ Parker, would they be interested in TJ Parker as well?
It'd be early.
Possibly. A bit early for him, but that's where my mind is kind of going. Those couple of guys, maybe.
Yeah, I think they would have loved Sonny Styles to have fallen here, but he's not. But I think in terms of what they've got on the on that defense, I mean, they could even go defensive tackle, to be honest.
A bit early for CJ Allen at linebacker.
I think so. Yeah,
I think so. I think it'll be too early. I think if they were picking at 30, maybe that might be a shout. But
let's go.
Yeah, because just thinking about the interior. Yeah, Kalijah Cansey's injured a lot. You know, someone to play in that interior alongside Vita Vea.
Yeah, okay. They would love Caleb Banks.
Yeah, I was just thinking Caleb Banks. Yeah.
Cheap moving costs as well.
I like that.
Job done. Okay, we'll keep him in state. It's Caleb Banks, the tackle from Florida. Beefing up that defensive line for the Buccaneers. Thanks for the help, guys.
Not a pick you see very often. That I like it. I've not something until we spoke about it then that I've even considered, but I think they'll really like him.
Or you'll go different from now on. Back to yourself, Iron, with the Jets' second pick at 16.
Yeah, so they've already got David Bailey at number 2, 16. We're not going quarterback. We're just not going to do it until we've got more information. I'm just not comfortable doing that. Defensive tackle, I think, would be on the board at this point. Whether they want to double dip on the defensive line or whether they've got pick number 33, which they can get. But my eyes are drawn to wide receiver more than anything, and the fact that Jordan Tyson is still there. To come away with David Bailey and Jordan Tyson would be a great draft. As he has been injured, so the combine's going to be big for him. But even so, I think 16. I couldn't see him getting past here, to be honest.
Yeah, it makes sense. Other than Garrett Wilson, who is quarterback X throwing the ball to, you know, they don't have weapons, and Jordan Tyson and Garrett Wilson's a nice 1-2 punch. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense for them, particularly when they've taken an edge rusher earlier on as well.
Yeah, I think they would be really happy with that, and say the fact that they've got number 33, there's going to be defensive tackles available at that point. You're going to come away with 3 really good players.
There you go. The Jets doing a sensible thing. Who'd have thought it? Stu,
they're going to pick a quarterback there now, aren't they?
Sorry. Stu, 17 with the Lions.
I'm going to pick Francis Mauigoa, the offensive lineman. We'll call it in there. As I say, we had him in a tackle ranking, but I could see a scenario where somewhere like the Lions initially play him on the interior, because they do need a bit of interior help. They've had retirals and whatnot in the last couple of years. They've got obviously one of the best offensive linemen, Penny Sewell, and they had Tate Ratledge last year, who they drafted. Let's keep adding some talent to that offensive line, I think. And Mauigoa, I think that I've seen him go very much higher than this in draft as well. Would he drop there? It just depends. I don't know. We never know. But he's sitting right there at 17. Snap him up.
Good stuff. Myself at 18 with the Vikings.
You've got some difficult ones so far, I have to say.
I think this one's a little bit boring. back to my boring ways. I think I'm going to go Evian Terrell, the cornerback from Clemson. Seen that quite a bit there. Like him to fall to the Cowboys, but I don't think he makes it that far. Fills a need, probably about his value.
Yeah, it's about his range. I don't think he'd go much earlier than this, but I suppose this is where the range kind of starts.
Yeah, they have a really bad history of drafting corners early, so I hope this one works out for the Vikings because they do need some help there. But he's going to buck the trend.
Yeah, maybe 18's not that early. They might just get away with it. Which leads us to 19 Panthers, and yourself, Owen.
Yeah, linebacker / edge rusher are the biggest needs here for the Panthers. And there's an edge rusher staring me in the face at this point who I think would pair really nicely with the Panthers, and that's going to be Cassius Howell. I was hoping he was going to get here, but he's got the juice to be able to take that defensive front to the next level. He's one of those there. In terms of his run blocking, which isn't the best, and maybe a little bit of lack of length means that he's not going to go top 10, but he is ultra productive, which makes him an easy player to pick in the teens. So I'm going to go Cassius Howell.
That gives them a nice young group at the Panthers. They've got Nick Skirton, who's actually played very well since he went there, and Princely Emmanuelin had a few decent splash plays as well. So yeah, it's not a bad group to round out. They're all pretty young and hopefully have a different skill set to be productive for them.
Indeed. Over to yourself, Stu. Pick number 20, the Cowboys.
I think I want to go defense again. Correct. You've gone Sonny Styles. Earlier on, a few cornerbacks have gone off the board. I'm gonna pick Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, the safety from Toledo. I think he is a force to be reckoned with at times when he plays. He's got a really good closing burst, big size. You can move him around. Yeah, he's dynamic. I quite like him. I think that there's other players who they may have gone for, but it is something that they need, and we see the importance of safety play. He's the next one off the board for me. I quite like him in this range. Gave a big ooh from Owen though.
No, yeah, because it just feels early, doesn't it? But he is getting a lot of traction, and just a name that wasn't expecting to hear this early. To be honest, I thought he might have come into discussion at the back end of the first, but that would be a high selection for again at safety, isn't it? You don't often see safeties go in the first round. You know, there's multiple occasions where safeties just don't, or there's just one that go. So, it would be a bold move. Let's see how it pays off.
I think for me that this draft is just draft good players. I think there's a lack of real top end, so I would rather take a really good safety than a not too bad edge rusher, rather than that way up of player versus positional value for me.
I do think they'd really like Volk though.
Yeah,
I think that's the type that they've tended to have gone for on the edge.
Yeah, but I don't like him, so tell luck. I'm in charge of this draft, so I don't like him.
That's how it works. Okay, Gustav, to myself. Pick 21, it's the Steelers. Where to go with? Obviously, new coach, Mike McCarthy. I'm going to go wide receiver. I'm going to go Casey Conception from Texas A&M. They've been that middling for that long, haven't they, Steelers? They've not got any humongous needs, but there's bits they need to do. Maybe at the quarterback, God knows what will happen. But get some talent there. That's what I do there.
Yeah, he's not their normal type either, but he's a pure difference maker. that he is get a ball in his hands and watch him go, but he also has the size. He's got the play style of someone who should be lighter and smaller than he is. He would give them something different. It certainly gives the Steelers something to be excited about on offense. Come on, Stu.
I was just talking nonsense anyway, so you won't have missed anything useful.
Oh, yeah.
He's a very different type of player to DK Metcalf, and I think that I like a diverse wide receiver group. I think you can't have too many skill sets within a team, and he certainly is very different to what they have at the moment.
Which leads us to pick 22 with the Chargers and O-line.
Yeah, I'm going offensive line. There is a debate here to be had of whether you go defensive line or whether you go offensive line, but I'm straight out going to say I'm going to go offensive line, but maybe there's a bit of a debate here of where they go. They aren't 31st in the NFL, allowing 3.7 sacks per game in 2025, but there needs to be a little bit of context because Alton Slater were injured quite a bit. So they do have their bookend tackles, but it's just a matter of, do you take a tackle who can play inside, someone like Caleb Lomu, or do you take a tackle and move Slater inside, which is also an option, so you can go Lomu or Freeland. But Stu, I'll maybe bring you on this because I'm very, very tempted to go Proctor and play him on the inside.
Yeah,
I think that's a Harbaugh thing to do.
That is an absolute Harbaugh thing to do, and it's what I would do for the team. I don't want to move Slater or Alt.
Yeah.
Is my thoughts, because I think that when they've been fit and healthy, they've both shown that they can play tackle at the NFL. And I don't think Proctor can. But he'll move people, and Harbaugh likes to run the ball a lot. And having him shunting people out the way for a Fittamore and Hampton, yeah, I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah. So we're going to replace Mekhi Becton at guard with his replica.
Mekhi Becton 2.0. He'll be cheaper.
He will be cheaper, yeah.
We go on to pick 23, the Eagles, and yourself, Stu.
Yeah, funny one, the Eagles. I'm not really sure 100% what I'm going to do, but yeah, I'm going to take Caleb Lomu here. Park him on the bench till Lane Johnson decides he's had enough, which I think is not too far off, although he still played at a really high level.
You've said that for the last 5 years.
I know. I do feel it is coming now for Lane Johnson,
it has to eventually.
They do like to draft and develop linemen. So let's give them Caleb Lomu to draft and develop and sit behind the only good player to come out of his draft, Lane Johnson.
Yeah,
that's maybe a bit hard.
I agree. I think this could be the time, because at this range, I think you're going to have a really good player available. It's really difficult to work out the tackles because, again, we spoke about it on the offensive line episode, which is yet to come out. So when you record that, we spoke about it on that the tackles could go off the board really quickly, but they also, it's really difficult to know how they'll last because the talent's there, but as you can see in this draft, they are slipping down the board slightly.
Indeed. 24 myself with the Browns again. Spencer Fano with their 6th pick. Maybe they could have waited for that offensive lineman. Who knows? Let's see. I mean, they could double dip there, couldn't they? They could go quarterback. Why not? They like picking quarterbacks.
Only in round 5 though.
Yeah, true. You have to pass on him like 7 times and then be like, I'm gonna go. Let's go Denzel Boston, the wide receiver from Washington. I was talking about wide receiver maybe with that earlier pick 6, but they went offensive line. So yeah, I think it's another need for them. A nice spot for him. who knows what he'll be throwing to him, but he'll hopefully be well protected.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick. Yeah, the Boston's one of those players. After he's not been spoken about enough because you have the top three in Lemon, Tyson, and Tate, and then Denzel Boston's just almost the default four not being spoken about, and then it's the clump of who comes after. So Denzel Boston isn't getting anywhere near enough love. He's big, he's smooth. I think he could go earlier than this. I would have debated it out. If I would have taken him to the Jets if one of the big three weren't there. But I do think he is that good. So I think he'd be a really good pick at 24 if he's there for the Browns.
24, which means 25, and the Bears O-line.
Yeah, defensive line. It doesn't matter whether you go on the interior or the edge. I mean, there's good players available. Caden McDonald, Lee Hunter, and then on the edge, Keldrick Falk's still there. TJ Parker, but I'm going to go Akeem Mesidor here. That I think Parker, we had this on the Edge episode, I think Parker is above him as a prospect, but Bears are in win now mode, and Mesidor is good and ready to go right now. So I'm going Akeem Mesidor because I think that he's going to elevate that room day one that he goes there, and you're happy playing him in game one, and he's going to wreak havoc like he's been playing at a pro for the last 5 years.
Yeah, we talked about him going to a contender because you don't have to wait for him to develop, but you might not need him for 10 years if you're in a win now window. So yeah, Akeem Mesidor makes a lot of sense there.
On to the Bills at 26. Stu, please.
Yeah, I'd ideally like to give the Bills the worst player possible, but that's not going to in the spirit of the game and not going to happen. So for me, Bills' main needs really are getting some good wide receiver help in, and I think that they need a presence on the edge as well. They've got Joey Bosa, who's I think he was on a 1 year deal. Things were okay with him, but it's not a long-term solution. So yeah, I'm going to take TJ Parker. I think that as an edge rusher, he is a big enough guy. They do tend to like bigger edge rushers as well. I think that he's got enough talent to play on the edge immediately, particularly if he gets back to that 2024 level. I think the wide receiver thing in the first round, for me, I think they can come back later on and get that. I don't think you get a TJ Parker at their spot in round two, so that's why I've gone for the edge rusher in this spot.
Yeah, totally agree. It's there's teams now that are going to start looking at receiver, but the value and talent you're getting at 26 compared to at 46 here is not massive. So teams I think might choose to wait on a bit into day two.
Okay, pick 27 is myself with the 49ers. He sat there. He's been sat in the draft green room for ages. It's all empty. I'm going to pick Keldrick Falk. The edge. Yeah, there are some concerns, but the ceiling's pretty high on him. Need for the 49ers. Nick Bosa's got no knees or two fake knees or plenty of ACL issues. And yeah, he has talent to a team that was very injured and slightly unlucky late next year. So yeah, I like Falk there for the 49ers. Which leads us to 28 with the Texans and yourself, Owen.
Yeah, I think this is a no-brainer. Such offensive line has to be. Although they're up front, they were actually surprisingly okay in 2025, but they're going to have to start addressing and getting someone younger and on a longer contract. So I think this is just a fairly easy pick for me here. I'm going Monroe Freeland, the tackle from Georgia, and you can play him at either spot.
Yeah, they were better than I thought they would be on the offensive line, but is that sustainable with the group that they have?
Exactly.
You have these groups who have a great year and then you think, oh, they're actually all right. I'm not going to bother. Well, yeah, I need an offensive lineman because they're not that good. And I think that's exactly where the Texans are just now. And yeah, Freeling is the standout guy who's left on the board.
There we go. 29 with the Rams' second pick of the first round. She sells to you.
This is almost a it's almost a free hit for the Rams, really, with this one, because they've got a really good roster. They've already addressed a cornerback with a pick that they had, so they have a bit more freedom to do something a bit more. I was tempted, do we take Ty Simpson back and sit him? I'm just unsure yet on Ty Simpson. So they have loved playing with heavy sets this year. So I'm going to take Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end from Oregon. They have been playing a lot of 12, 13 personnel this year. So why not get someone who fits into that really well? I think he will be a really good player for them, and it gives them that standout player in that room.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. There's a lot of talk, isn't there, about whether do they use, because they've got a luxury pick in the first round. Do they take a quarterback? But there's no need for them to force it, and you think their Super Bowl window is open now. They're looking to win the Super Bowl next year, so draft good players, surround Matthew Stafford with players he can target, and hope that Sean McVay can win another Super Bowl.
Okay, to pick number 30, the Denver Broncos. I'm going to Lee Hunter, defensive tackle for Texas Tech. I think the Broncos, again, good team. Don't have a huge need. They just needed one more game from Bo Nix, didn't they? But yeah, I think Hunter fills a gap, and pretty good value at 30. Which leads us to the Super Bowl losers, New England Patriots. Align, what do you reckon?
This might be fairly predictable, to be honest, after what we saw in the Super Bowl. And people are going to say it's reactionary, but it's really not. They conceded the 9th most sacks in the NFL last year, and still made it to the Super Bowl. Will Campbell had good spots, but it was consistent throughout the year that the problems we saw and why we evaluated him as a guard showed up again. They were just amplified by that performance in the Super Bowl. I think they potentially are a team that might look to move up for one of the guys that have gone ahead here. That can they jump to get a Lomu or a Freeland, maybe try and get up a couple of spots. I'm sure there'll be teams looking to accumulate some picks further down. But the way it's fallen, I'm going to go with the next guy who's on my list, and that's Maxi Iheanacho from Arizona State. Yeah, he maybe isn't the most pro-ready right now, but he is, given his size, 6'6", 330. He's a player who is a pure tackle.
Yeah, you've had the statements coming out from New England saying Will Campbell is a left tackle and he's not moving to guard or tight end or whatever they said. I don't believe a word of what they say at this stage in the season. And that dreaded vote of confidence isn't always a vote of confidence, is it? So yeah, if they have him and they move Campbell inside, I think that's okay. I think that's a good move for Will Campbell as well as anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, they can shift the line across them, because Jared Wilson was also a problem. Will Campbell is taking all the flack at left tackle, but Jared Wilson was also equally terrible at guard. But he's not a guard; he's a centre. So you can shift the line properly and slot players into their more natural positions.
Good stuff. Okay, the final pick. It's yourself, Stu. Pick 32 with the Seahawks.
Yeah, Seahawks. Congratulations on winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got loads of corner needs. There's Reek Woolen. I don't think they're going to bring back by the signs of things. They do have some good Devon Witherspoon, who's a good corner for them, but that is a big need.
Josh Jobs up as well. Kobe Bryant's up.
Yeah, they've got a whole heap of guys who are up. It's a bit of a toss-up for me, and I'm not sure, but I probably like Keith Abney better than I do Colton Hood of the two. So yeah, Keith Abney. I think he's not the biggest, but he's really physical. He's got that bit of energy about him. He's not the most elite speed, but there's just, yeah, as I say, he brings that energy, brings that bit of gritty determination. I think Seattle are like that. So yeah, he's gonna sneak into the first round. Keith Abney, the cornerback from Arizona State.
Nice. Yeah, Colton Hood would be the discussion. He certainly feels like he's getting a lot of buzz in the first round. Brandon Cisse is a name that you didn't mention as well from South Carolina, who also could potentially push the first round. But yeah, you're not going to see many mock drafts with Keith Abney in the first round. But the Seahawks have, they've set the stall out. They've got a type at corner, and he feels it.
Yeah, there we go. First mock. It was good. It was good. Now we know what's happening. Obviously, it'll all change. It's very typical. We record a mock, and then Owen just about to press I don't know, you press send or whatever into the podcast world, and then there'll be a trade or something. So keep an eye out for that if it's not already happened. But yeah, there we go. As we mentioned, we've done a couple of top fives already, and there are plenty more coming very, very soon. So keep an eye out for them where we'll learn a bit more about these players. That's it for now. Thank you very much for listening / watching. We'll catch you soon. Take care of yourselves.